Hello, boys and girls. It is your friend the Amazing Atheist here with a special surprise. The Waves of Atlantis. This might look like an unassuming book, but it bears the dubious honor of being the worst novel ever written. Now, before I get into reading any excerpts, I'd like to expound for a moment on the importance of the opening of any novel. The purpose of the opening paragraph, the opening sentence, whatever, is to draw the reader in. Until now, I thought that even the dumbest novelists knew well enough to put a decent opening in their fucking novel. Even if you can't write worth a shit, you can still write a sentence that will draw the reader in. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. This is Stephen King's It, probably the best book that Stephen King ever wrote. Let me just read you the opening of this book for a moment. The terror, which would not end for another 28 years, if it ever did end, began, so far as I know or can tell, with a boat made from a sheet of newspaper floating down a gutter swollen with rain. So we have a terror. What? Ooh, scary. Something terrifying. It's been terrorizing us for 28 years. Maybe it's still terrorizing us. And it began with something as simple and unassuming as a paper boat floating down a gutter swollen with rain. That's inviting you in. You want to know what's terrifying. How did it begin with something so simple as a child's plaything? We want to know these things. So how do we find them out? We keep reading. That's right. That paragraph does its job. Is that the best opening for a novel ever? No, but it's competent. It invites the reader in. Let's see how this abysmal turd of the devil does in the opening paragraph department. What a bust. That's the first paragraph. It's a line of dialogue, as you can see. What a bust. There's no attribution. We don't know who said it. We don't know where they are. Whatever. Okay. Was it that bad? Yet again, in quotations, no attribution. Listen, Pierre. So one of the people talking is Pierre. It was worse. Worse than what? Worse than a bust? Worse than that? Worse than bad? What is this worse referencing? We have absolutely no information to report to Houston. Well, whose fault is that? It certainly isn't mine. Don't look at me. I warned you guys. I mean guys and gal. Real subtle way of informing the reader that a girl is present. Because when you're doing that, when you're talking to a bunch of people like, hey guys, guys and gal, yeah, that's so natural, that's right. And look at the punctuation here. 2 hyphens there. I'm assuming there's supposed to be a dash there, but it's just 2 hyphens. And then on the end, there's 3 hyphens. What are those hyphens doing there? Nothing is being hyphenated. There's supposed to be 2 dashes here. Instead, there's 2 hyphens and then 3 hyphens. I don't understand this. About the possible problems with the mission. Hey, wait a minute. Misuse of ellipses. Look at that. 3 dots, right in a row, no spaces between them. First of all, folks, ellipses are not meant to denote a pause, okay? Ellipses are to show that part of the sentence is missing or was not completed. Like if a character says, you son of a... but he never says bitch, that's when you put in the ellipses. Dot, 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 with spaces in between them, and if it's at the end of the sentence, you also put a period at the end of the sentence, then follow it with the dots. Okay? So there's 4 dots. There's a dot right on the ass end of the sentence, and then there's a space and a dot, and a space and a dot, and a space and a dot, and a space. That's how you fucking use ellipses. And if it's in the middle of a sentence, there's just the 3 dots, but there's always a fucking space. If you have like a garbled radio transmission, and the guy says, the aliens... dot, 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 Neptune, dot, 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 everyone's dead, that's like, that's really a cheesy gimmick, but that's what they do, that's what they're for, okay? They're not for your pause, dramatic pause with the dots. That's wrong, okay? I'm sick and tired of that. Putting a bunch of dots in a row like this to denote a pause, that's like how a stupid teenage girl writes. That's how, like, when you get a message on MySpace that's punctuated like that, you're like, this person's a fucking moron. You want to take a gun and blow her fucking head off and then put it in your mouth and blow your brains out 3 times over. Just because it's so fucking stupid and so fucking wrong. Anyway, let's continue. I was the only one who knew from the start that this crew could never detect extra low frequency waves in the atmosphere. Okay. "Look, Jane," Tom said, staring down at his feet. This is real great shit, huh? "No one ever doubted your special abilities to understand mind control." How is it a special ability to understand mind control? Also, it says special abilities to understand mind control. First of all, how is that single ability pluralized? And second of all, how is it a special ability to understand mind control? If you possess the ability to use mind control, that's a special ability. If you can control people's minds, that's one thing. But if you can simply understand mind control, that's no sort of special ability. All that is a comprehension of what mind control is. We all understand mind control because we can all envision the act of controlling someone else's mind. We have imaginations, right? So that's no fucking special ability. The difficulty is that we simply don't have the right instruments to find out where these waves are coming from. As the crew continued to sit around the floor of the spacecraft looking dejected, oh my god, Jane threw a sly smile at Tom, unaware that the rest of the men caught her and began to snicker. How much exposition can you get? There's no subtlety at all. We should know through subtle hints that these two are an item behind everyone else's back. We shouldn't know because we're fucking smacked over the head with it. Yeah, hey, these two are a couple, but they're secret. Blah! Okay, thank you for that information, inept writer. Thanks. Yeah, that's great. You know, they always tell new writers, show, don't tell. Show, don't tell. Apparently this bitch never got that lesson, because this book is all tell, don't show. Okay, I'm done mocking the prose, because if I was doing that, it would take us 1,000 years to get through this book. But there is one section I'd like to go to, because not only is this book ineptly written, it's also somewhat reprehensible in its message. "It is easy, Jane," said the priest. "Here are the rules. They were handed down to us from the high priests of Atlantis." While one priest looked on, a second priest lowered a very ancient scroll. It's ancient, so therefore it's full of wisdom. On the scroll there were 12 rules and precepts of pure consciousness. While Jane listened, the priest began to chant the rules in unison. Keep in mind as I'm reading these, that the priests are supposed to be chanting these rules in unison, because these rules are so awkwardly worded that it's impossible to imagine, you know, a bunch of people saying them together. Rule number 1. Nothing in the physical world takes precedence over spiritual law. What does that mean? Assuming there is a spiritual world that's totally separate from our world, how could anything here or there take precedence over the other? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, rule number 2. God is the source of all power regardless of a person's religion or beliefs. That's not a rule. How is that a rule? That's like saying Cheetos are good. That's a rule. What? That's just a statement. It's a statement of what the author believes to be fact, I guess. I mean, because even though this is a work of fiction, the author obviously believes this shit. Number 3. There is only one force and one power in the universe, a force for good. Well, then what is all the conflict about? If there's only a force for good, then whence cometh evil, bitch? Doesn't make any fucking sense. 4. Proper nutrition and proper living are essential elements of life. No liquor, no drugs, no nicotine can be imbibed. Only pure foods can enter the body. First of all, it seems kind of weird the Atlanteans would be preoccupied with our modern health problems. No drugs. What does that mean? What is drug? That's such an ambiguous word. I mean, even in our culture, what does that really mean? Illegal drugs? I mean, did the Atlanteans make a distinction between good drugs and bad drugs like our society did? And nicotine specifically. It's kind of weird that an ancient culture would single out nicotine, of all things. How would they even be aware of the presence of nicotine? It makes some half-ass sense if maybe they said tobacco, but nicotine? Nicotine? Pure foods, and what does that mean? Like vegetables? I mean, can we eat at McDonald's? Is it a fucking double cheeseburger? Pure food? I mean, what does that mean? Does pure food just mean food without drugs, without chemicals? What? I don't understand. I'm at a loss, okay? Number 5. Self-sacrifice precedes personal gratification. Okay, I'm going to read number 6, because number 6 seems to contradict this in a way. Number 6. Never give your power to another human being. So it's like one is saying, put others before yourself, and one is saying, put yourself before others. I don't get it. I mean, they're not directly contradictory, but it seems like the spirit of them is contradictory. Number 7, people with lower consciousness. This is where it starts to get real disturbing, by the way. People with lower consciousness must be blessed and their power returned to the universe so that it cannot be used for evil purposes. How did evil get into the equation? There was only a force for good a minute ago, now there's evil. Where the fuck did this evil come from? And doesn't it sound like we're supposed to kill these people of lower consciousness? What the fuck is lower consciousness? How do you return their power to the universe? Do you have to murder these people? Hey, you're of lower consciousness, die! Boom, you're dead, your power is returned to the universe. All is right. Sounds pretty scary to me. 8, meditation must be practiced at least 1 hour daily. What kind of meditation? What does this mean? No one knows. It's never explained in this book. I promise you that the questions I'm asking are never explained further in this book, which is pretty fucking scary considering that this book is obviously meant to influence you to this way of thinking. So, you're just given a free rein. Meditation means whatever you want. Lower consciousness means whatever you want. Pure foods means whatever you want. It's just all up in the air. You can just make it up yourself. This is why people love religion. And this book is obviously trying to peddle a religion. Number 9, negative people must be dismissed, even if they are members of one's own family or even close friends. Okay, yeah, reject the skeptics, people who say things you don't like, get them out of there. Alright, yeah, that's pretty much in every religion. Number 10, time spent alone should be part of the daily regimen. Okay, privacy is a good thing, but is privacy, should that be a rule? Should it be like, oh, you have to have your alone time, get away from everybody? No, that's stupid. Fuck that. Number 11. Sex must only take place with another person of high spiritual consciousness. Well, what if you're a person of low spiritual consciousness? Can you have sex with another person of low spiritual consciousness, or is sex, like, outlaw for them? No, 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 you low spiritual consciousness people can't be fucking. What is this? I mean, what would happen if someone with high spiritual consciousness had sex with someone with low spiritual consciousness? Would their baby be like half? Would he be like a medium spiritual consciousness person, and that's wrong, you can't have that? You know, you're just judging people based upon some invisible factor that you get to make up. People you don't like, those are all people with low spiritual consciousness. People you do like, those people have high spiritual consciousness. Oh, yes. And then people you're kind of iffy about, yeah, he's a medium spiritual consciousness guy, I guess. He's not quite a low spiritual consciousness guy, but he's not really up here in my league, you know what I'm saying? Oh, this is so ridiculous. Number 12. Energy must be released daily or its effects can block higher spiritual awareness and right action. What the fuck does that mean? Nothing. It doesn't mean anything. This book is the worst novel ever written, and it's a piece of horrible horseshit, and it should be shit upon by all who see it. If you ever find a copy of this book, burn it. I'm the Amazing Atheist. Peace the fuck out.